boyfriend. Situations in life coming, you gotta trust them. Found out many times in life you can't trust men. So I rolled solo, that process was an adjustment. Friends let you down, not around when you needin' them. Only here to take like a child, got you feeding them. Better off leaving them like salt, that's the seasoning. Killing black people, that sugar really depleting them. Knowledge over ignorance, rising above predicaments. Fighting for equality, speaking for all the innocence. These drugs they've been giving us, turning our people vigilant. Innocent dissidents, violence is coming imminent. Gotta fall a couple times to learn the lessons faster. Thinking will it matter if I skip a couple chapters? This life that I'm after got me climbing up the ladder. Won't be another rapper, bankrupt with the chapter. On another mission to get rich, it's big chips. And past the crown on solid ground, the kid spits. On another level, these devils can't block the business. The kid get psycho with a rifle, get your wig split. Change the game passively in the back, so happily. Jersey. Welcome to another edition of the Community Soldier Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Counts, and today we have Miss Sierra Jones from Community Action Agency here with us today.
Hello.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining with us today.
You're very welcome.
Great. Why don't you tell the people who you are and what you do?
Well, I am Sierra Jones, housing counselor at Community Action Agency for Jackson County. I am actually covering a lot for that position, but one of the biggest pieces is helping first-time home buyers and not only helping them get into housing, but helping them sustain housing. I do apologize, everyone. I have a horrible cold, so I know you can tell I sound very stuffed up. I work with homeowners when they're facing foreclosure for mortgages or property taxes. Anything that really has to do with owning a home. I'm the person that you probably would be dealing with over at Community Action Agency, and that goes into the financial piece as well. So budgeting, crediting, savings, banking, anything is that too.
Mm-hmm. Well, first and foremost, thank you very much for taking the time in to check in with us at Community Soldier Podcast, even though you're not feeling well. We
You're
hope
welcome.
to a speedy recovery as soon
Thank
as possible. So we know how important the work that you're doing in the community is. Can you just tell the people a little bit how you got started into doing this type of work?
Wow, actually it goes many years back. I started working in the housing. I believe first was Springbrook Meadows back in like 2015 maybe, which wasn't considered low income or subsidized, but that was my first time working in housing. Then I switched over to Jackson Housing Commission, where it was based on income. And that's when I really realized that I liked helping individuals get into housing. And again, teaching them the tools and the techniques needed to keep their housing. I've always been really big on the homeless community and just helping other people find housing. And it's not necessarily, again, low income families, but anyone, because even those that have financial capability, they still don't know how to sustain that housing piece of it. So that's where I play a part at.
Nice. Yeah, that's where we actually got our introduction. That was down at Jackson Housing Commission. That's where it opened my eyes to a lot of the conditions that we have going on in our community, and housing is definitely one of the major problems. That was one of the main reasons why I wanted to bring you on the podcast, is to basically educate the people a little bit about housing, and maybe talk a little bit about some of the things that you do with the budgeting classes and things like that. But as far as housing, why is it so important for people to understand the financial literacy before looking to getting into housing or trying to even purchase a home?
So understanding that piece of it is important for any part of your life, mainly from buying a home because the credit is so major. You literally cannot do anything, any type of loan without some sort of good credit. And nowadays it's so hard to really determine what good credit is because you see so many different unreliable sources on social media and everything. But having that knowledge and understanding what financial stability really means is going to benefit you in the long run because, for one, it helps you become very independent. Once you have that education, you can rely more on yourself and not so much as for other outside sources.
Yeah, yeah, because they say the studies show that 60% of people are living check to check, and we know that's the reality of most of us when we're living in poverty. We're
Right.
living check to check. So that means the budget is more important, right? How do you help people with the budgeting?
So I think when people hear the word budget, they just automatically get kind of afraid and scared. But the reality of it is, no matter how much income you're bringing in monthly, you can create a budget. It's just, for one, learning how not to live outside your means. That's the biggest piece of it, and learning to prioritize. Once those wants are out of your way, and you know that it's so important to take care of your needs first, that's all a budget is making sure those needs are met and took it care of. And then you have that, what I like to call is play money, that you
Mm,
can somehow pull from your budget and do the things that you want to do with it.
mm. So what does that do to someone's quality of life when they really master this skill?
Absolutely. I mean, for one, I think for anyone, it's kind of like refreshing to know that you're not worrying about struggling and living paycheck to paycheck, because the reality of it is that no one is probably getting paid what they feel they should be, but you
Hmm.
have to learn how to really work with that for the time being and learn how to progress to bring in other income. And when you think of budget, it's not always just your employment, it's side hustles you can have. And that's a big thing now, especially for the younger generation, just letting them know that there are other things that you can do that's going to help you, especially hobbies that you have that you can actually use your smarts to make money and not actually depend on just that check to check life. So that becomes a part of your budget. Anything that you're bringing in money should be included in your month to month budget.
Mm. And is this something that you offer as a class, or is it a one-on-one thing? How does that work?
So for me, it would be more of a one-on-one personalized counseling session. We do have classes, but they're not often. It just depends on how people show interest in it. So that can be for Hillsdale, Lenawee, or Jackson, but it's easier to do it one on one so we can dig deep into like the personal issues or what reasons it is that's keeping a family or even an individual from being able to create a budget that they're able to stick to.
Mm, okay, okay. So this you kind of mentioned one of my questions earlier as far as adding the extra income. One of my main focuses: how can we get uh, the people that are living in subsidized housing? How can we, or what can we do as advocates to help them transition or be better prepared to transition into home ownership?
So, believe it or not, individuals that's in subsidized housing are a lot smarter and well equipped than a lot of people think. They are
Hmm.
usually the ones that's there for that moment because they know they need to be able to build those finances to move to the next step. So, a lot of times it's not even the budgeting piece. Again, it's the credit. People get stuck in their head that they have to get that money to move on, which you do, but a big piece of that is also building credit. So I like to tell people, before you even think about the housing, buying a house, you need to make sure your credit is where it needs to be, because you can have all the money in the world for that down payment, but that credit is going to determine everything. Um, and that's something that a lot of people just think that it's easy to fix. I suggest anytime anyone, regardless if they're in low income or not, anytime they're thinking to purchase a home, 6 to 9 months is usually what's needed to get your credit where it should be, to make sure you're on the right path for that. So it's definitely not going to be a quick fix.
Wow, wow. So is that so a person that is living in subsidized housing and they can take advantage of that time to fix their credit up? What are one of the things that you tell them as far as like tips for fixing their credit? Do you have like a secret pro tip or something?
There's no secrets, and that's another thing that a lot of people fail to realize. You can see all the commercials in the world, fix your credit, 100 points in 30 days. It's not realistic. Anything with credit is going to take time, and then depending on what you're trying to do with your credit as well. So if you're trying to get a car, of course, that looks different than trying to buy a house. if you're just trying to apply for a credit card. It just really depends on what you're trying to do. Um, the only thing that you really can do is pay your bills and make payments on time. 35% of your credit score is whether or not you pay your bills on time. That's really the biggest thing. And even if you're someone that may have fell behind a few months, again, once you start making those payments on time, eventually you will notice the change, but it's going to take a good 60 to 90 days to see that difference. So it's never too late to build your credit. And it's also easier to build credit than it is to repair credit. And a lot of people don't realize that either. Once your credit is damaged, it's harder to fix it than it is to actually start building credit. So,
Okay, that was my next question. So, what
mhm.
about the person that their credit has been damaged and they need to repair their credit? What steps should they take?
So again, it just depends on when you say damage to credit. It just depends on what you mean by that. Did they file
Hmm.
bankruptcy? Do they have repos? Is it just evictions? It depends on what's on your credit and what you're trying to do with your credit. Because sometimes people say damage and it's not really damage. It's just that score they're
Okay.
looking at. And when you look at credit, you have to go beyond your actual credit score. So it's hard to say what they need to do to repair it without someone actually sitting down and looking at your credit report.
Okay, so they should definitely start with speaking to a professional.
Please speak to a professional and don't just Google or get on TikTok. That's where a lot of people are going wrong and they're losing money. Just thinking they're supposed to go pay off all the collections and charge offs. In reality, you may not need to do that if
Hmm.
you, depending on what you're trying to do with your credit. So,
What about the social media text, the credit repair people? What should
I'm
people
not
do?
familiar with social media. I don't do all that, but I will say, and it could be legit if they're a professional because you have financial advisors, and I'm not a financial
Hmm.
advisor, so I'm not really sure. I can't speak on that lane, but you have
Hmm.
financial advisors that they do credit stuff, and it's other things
Hmm.
that they do. So if it's someone like that, I would say it was legit. But if it's just someone that's like googling tips and tricks, definitely I would say do a little bit more investigating before you give any money out.
So make sure y'all do your homework, guys.
Yes.
But nothing that's really worth it is going to be really quick. So stay
Yeah.
away
And
from the people that are promising you instant
right.
results.
And believe it or not, since 2020, when COVID and the pandemic and everything hit, people have actually been able to fix their own credit without paying out of pocket because it's giving people more time to actually sit and like learn about it. They have more time and patience to learn how to do it on their own. So it is definitely something that an individual can do on their own is fix their own credit without having to pay someone to do it for them. Like I said, it
Hmm.
just takes time to make sure you're actually being educated on it and learning from the right people.
Are these some of the things that you do with the first time buyers education classes?
No, so that is strictly for explaining the process of buying a home. We have
Hmm.
separate credit classes, or again, one on one credit counseling, where we'll dive more into a personal situation. But the class is actually just to explain the process. So
Hmm.
there's a lender, a realtor, a title agent, insurance agent, and I can't think who else. Anybody else that plays the part in buying a home is there to
Hmm.
explain what that looks like. And that just gives the people a chance to ask questions if they need to ask questions to the certain professional that works in that department.
Hmm.
The reason the first time home buyer is a big thing is because it's part of MSHDA down payment assistance, which was at one point was 10K down. Right
Hmm.
now, it's a new program called First Generation, and I believe they're offering up to 25K, and they have to take that first time home buyer class. So that's only thing that we pay a part in is offering that class. We don't have anything to do with the actual down payment assistance.
Okay, so you just offer the class.
Yes, they still will have to go to a lender to see if they qualify for that assistance, and that's going to be again based on credit and income.
Hmm. So even if a person isn't really ready to buy a house, do you suggest them take the class?
Absolutely, and the class is good for 2 years. So every 2 years, we suggest they take the class even if they're not, because the information when it comes to buying the house changes all the time. So it's always good for the knowledge. Even if they're not ready to buy, they might know a friend or a family that are, and they can share that information. It's free. So I wouldn't, I mean, there's no reason really not to get that valid information from professionals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah.
So you mentioned several classes that you offer. Is there any other classes that you offer at Community Action Agency that we haven't talked about?
Well, it's the financial stability series. So again, it's just going to be based on what people are interested in. It's the banking and spending class. There's one up for predatory lending, which is just to help people pretty much know how to look for lenders. That's legit.
Mm-hmm.
We have one that's on student loans. So pretty much anything that has to do with finances. And even if it's something that we don't offer and someone might be like, well, I'm interested in that, just let me know and I can put together a course. So
Okay. How can people get in contact with you?
it's best to call the office 517-740-1027. You can email me, you can stop by the office. Either way is fine.
Nice, nice. Well, I don't want to hold up too much of your time. I know you're not feeling well. We definitely appreciate you for coming on. We would love to have you come back and take a deeper dive into it and maybe explain. But before we go, we want to give the people an opportunity to ask questions. So let's just see
That's
if we
fine.
have any questions. All right, cool. I'm gonna go to a quick commercial real quick, guys, and make sure y'all drop y'all questions in the comments right now. Drop your questions in the comments. We're going to see them, we're going to read them, and we'll be able to answer them.
Yep, that works.
This episode of the Community Soldier Podcast is brought to you by Partial to Girls. Partial to Girls is a dynamic group of diverse women here in Jackson, Michigan, who are stepping up to create meaningful change in our community. Partial to Girls is all about action. These women come from unique backgrounds but share a united mission to make sure that no woman or child is left behind. Whether they're supporting each other's endeavors, hosting impactful community programs, or helping those who need it most, they're making Jackson a better place for everyone. And even you can be a part of their mission. Join the movement by volunteering your time, making donations, or simply spreading the word. You can find them and support them in their endeavors by reaching out and following their Facebook page at Partial to Girls. And just remember, as we salute these community soldiers, that together we can create real change. Let's support the women who are making a difference. Partial to Girls, diversity in action, unity in purpose. Thanks to Partial to Girls for sponsoring this episode of the Community Soldier Podcast. Now, let's get back to the show.
Is I'm 20 years old and I'm looking to buy a house within 6 months to a year. Besides having 20% down, what other tips would you recommend for a first-time home buyer? Also, is there anything that I need to look out for? Yeah, I would say there's a couple of things to keep in mind. I think it's great that you're putting 20% down. We would say to do a
Hmm.
deal where your payment is no more than 25% of your take home, and that's taxes, insurance, all included in a conventional loan. And I love that you're putting 20% down because then you can avoid PMI, which is private mortgage insurance, and it's just an additional cost there. But with 20% down, you can avoid that. But I feel like you're in pretty good shape. I mean, other than that, it sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, couple of things. Good idea. Good question, by the way. 15-year fixed rate, 25% of your take-home pay. Always, everyone, anytime you buy a piece of real estate, get title insurance, 100% of the time. Anytime you're buying a piece of property that is not a traditional subdivision lot, meaning it's very, very predictable, always get a survey. So if I bought 3 acres that turned out to be 1.75. You get a survey on it. Okay, now you got a standard subdivision lot that is pre-platted and has changed hands 3 or 4 times. You don't have to worry about that. It is what it is. But if you're buying something otherwise, get a survey, get title insurance, get a home inspection. Get a home inspection. You're 20 years old. You're not an expert on much of anything in that house. Unless you just happen to be an electrician or something, and then you would be, right? But, get a home inspection, period. I bought and sold several thousand pieces of real estate. I get a home inspection.
Mm.
Last house I bought, I got one. Okay. I can go in there and scratch around in the crawl space and try to figure it out, but for what it costs, let somebody else do it, right? That's the thing. Don't buy a house that is a great price but is ugly from the street. First house I bought was that. I got a great deal, and this house was ugly from the street. There's no fixing ugly.
Yeah, that's
You
hard to
can't fix
fix.
ugly. Okay, it's just still going to be no. Well,
All right, guys. We didn't get any questions. We did get a couple comments, but no questions. So we ain't gonna hold you up too much more tonight. Thank you for tuning in with us. Like I said, we would love to have you come back when you're feeling better. We could take a deep dive into some of the financial literacy stuff.
Yes. Thank you so much, guys. I
Yes,
will
thank you for
say
coming.
something he just mentioned, that home inspection is probably the most important piece for new homeowners. Any homeowners, but definitely new homeowners. You want to pay that extra $300 to $500 absolutely for a home inspection, regardless of what that person you're buying from says. Get a home inspection.
See, we need these super tips, man. We need
Yes.
these super tips. So we're gonna get together that list next time for the next episode, and we'll come back and we'll check the people.
Okay. Well,
All
have a good
right.
evening. Thanks for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for tuning in.
Bye.
We'll be right back, guys.
Grandpa told me you lucky to have one friend. Situations in life coming, you gotta trust them. Found out many times in life you can't trust men. So I rolled solo, that process was an adjustment. Friends let you down, not around when you're needing them. Only here to take like a child, got you feeding them. Better off leaving them like salt, that's the seasoning. Killing black people, that sugar really depleting them. Knowledge over ignorance, rising above predicaments. Fighting for equality, speaking for all the innocents. These drugs they've been giving us, turning our people vigilant.
All right, I'm back, guys. It's just me. So nobody had no questions for our guest today. Nobody had no questions, man. That's crazy. We got a lot. We got a lot going on, man. A lot of people message me every single day about housing. So I just wanted to take this time really to speak about the housing crisis right now that we have going on. Um, Maybe give some tips, offer advice. You know what I'm saying? If you're looking for housing right now, the market is crazy. The rental market is crazy, and everything that I'm hearing out of Section 8, which is they changed the name of Section 8. There's no more Section 8. It's now called housing choice vouchers. So everything that I'm hearing out of the HCV, for short, housing choice voucher program, it's not looking good, honestly. I mean, there's a lot of challenges right now that are going to be affecting people from getting vouchers. That's one of the things that I get asked about all the time is when are they going to start accepting vouchers again? When are they going to restart the list? What I can tell you is this is just what I can tell you. The voucher list is definitely it has changed because of a couple of the executive orders that our president has, right? There can be no DEI in how we do uh, the waiting list now. And a lot of people don't understand that. So let me explain it just a little bit. So, what was the DEI in the waiting list? The DEI in the waiting list was basically they were allowed to prioritize people on the waiting list depending if you have a disability. So if you had a disability, um, you'll be able to, get an extra point, and that would move you up the list. If you were had a CPS case and you were trying to reunite with your children, that would give you a point, and that would prioritize you higher above the list. So now that there's no more DEI, there's no more prioritization. So what does that mean for the list? You got to ask your local caseworker. Ask your local caseworker what that means. I can't tell you what it means. I don't know. I know the list don't exist. So what is that going to mean for you? I don't know. You got to talk to your case manager. If you were on Section 8 list for 10 years and you haven't filled out the paperwork saying that you still would like to remain on the list, you might have to start over. You might have to start over, sadly. Oh, today is the 10th. I do know that Jackson Housing Commission, their list is open. Their list is open. They're accepting applications. So if you're in need of housing and you don't have any income, your best bet is to fill out that application for Jackson Housing Commission. So if you're someone out there, maybe you got a baby, you got a kid, and you live in couch to couch somewhere with somebody else, go fill out that application right now, Jackson Housing Commission. Now, I don't know if they have openings, but I know the list. It's fresh. It's got openings. So you need to sign up. People ask me about private landlords. Private landlords, man, are pretty much done. That's pretty much a wrap. That's why I brought Miss Jones on today, because if we don't start looking at home ownership, we're done. We're done. Jackson Housing Commission, no, they have a paper application, far as I know. They might have a kiosk, I think. I think they might have a kiosk. I'm not sure. I know when I was working there, we had bought a kiosk and we were working on that, but I don't know if the new administration um, is running that. You know, I ain't been down there in a while, but they might have a paper application at the kiosk if you go down to Reed Manor. But for the most part, I know it's a paper application. And I do have a copy of it. If you need a copy, I can get it to you when I'm at work. You just ask for me. Or you could just go right down to the Reed Manor office and get a copy right there. They have them right there as well. So private landlords, back to the private landlords. So I get questions all the time. Hey, can you send me the private landlord list? Can you send me this, that, third? There isn't a private landlord list. There hasn't been a private landlord list since COVID. And anybody that's sharing you a private landlord list, it is extremely old. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I get you one. Anybody sharing a landlord list, it is extremely old and outdated. And I know this because the landlords that are out there left, they really don't want their numbers out there. They really don't want they numbers out there. I'm gonna just be real. You know, they went from taking hundreds of phone calls a day to not getting money for 2 years straight during COVID. These landlords have, you know, they got tired of us, honestly. You know what I'm saying? They got tired of us, tired of the way we was leaving their houses. They got tired of it. You know what I'm saying? Tired of their houses getting raided. They was tired of it. Tired of not getting no rent, having to chase people down. They was tired of the having to clean out their houses, bringing dumpsters up. You know, so now because of everything, now they can be picky. They can be extremely picky now. With the new fair market rent numbers for Jackson, let me pull that up real quick. So y'all can see this, man. That is getting real. What's the fair market rent for Jackson? I think I posted it the other day. I don't know how many people was paying attention, but the fair market rate numbers for Jackson is crazy. This is basically what HUD determines is uh, a fair amount of rent for this area in Michigan. And this is basically what Section 8 or housing choices, this is what they will pay. This is what they will pay basically if you get a voucher. Now, right now, as you can see, the FMR for Jackson, a 1 bedroom, now is up to 905. This is up from 884 last year. This is up from 884 last year. So when we talk about the housing crisis in America, this is one of the reasons why. And when we're asking our president to do something about it, it's because of this. But in all reality, we know that there's nothing our president can do about it or will do about it. Actually, let's just say there's nothing our president will do about this. These numbers are going to continue to go up, especially with what's going on. So understand that if you're looking for a 4 bedroom, you better be prepared to pay anywhere up to $1,700 for that 4 bedroom. $1,700. And then the landlords can say, you need to show that you make 3 times the amount of rent. So that means you need to show you make $5,100 a month. $5,100 a month. That's $31 an hour if you wasn't sure. Yeah, it's crazy. That's $31 an hour that you got to show to be able to afford the 4 bedroom right now. You got to be able to show $31 an hour. So that single check, that ain't gonna cut it. I don't know what how many jobs is bringing home that, but I know my job ain't bringing home 31 for sure. So when people ask about private landlords, I always bring them to this because you have to show that you make 3 times the amount of the rent. So even the landlords in the hood right now, go to the landlords in the hood. Y'all know the hood landlords. You see what I'm saying? Y'all know the hood landlords who make 30 an hour exactly. Not too many people. So what that leave us with? We got to go to the hood landlords. And even the hood landlords, they could charge you 3 times the amount of rent, and they could tell you, look, I need you to show me 3 times the amount of rent. So you looking for a 2 bedroom? I need 3,300. You got 3,300 to show that you got. You see what I'm saying? So the landlord list is dead. And just trust and believe when I tell you this. The landlord list is dead. There are no more private landlords. I mean, there's some. Don't get it twisted, because I live off of the few landlords that we have left, the private landlords. But trust me when I tell you this. Trust me when I tell you this. You don't want to live in their houses. You wouldn't want to live in their houses. But this is the sad reality of where we're at now. Most of the houses on the market right now are being managed by property companies. Right now, dead since COVID. And a lot of it is, man, I ain't gonna lie. A lot of it is because of us. We are the ones to blame. We are the ones to blame. One of my jobs during COVID was I I filled out those SIRA applications. So when people applied for SIRA, that program, I was one of the ones that was getting that application. You see what I'm saying? During COVID, I was the landlord liaison at Community Action Agency, and I had to do this job. I had to call all the landlords in the county to see who had houses available. And I hated that job. I hated that job because I got cussed out all day long by our landlords. They were cussing me out. Why? Why was they cussing me out? Because during COVID, they were watching y'all get big money, big checks, man. Big checks, man. Y'all was getting thousands of dollars checks, man. Y'all was doing seafood boils. Y'all was living it up, popping bottles. It was big hair weaves popping. It was big chargers running around town, scat backs, and all kind of stuff going down. And nobody was paying rent. I had landlords cussing me out, man. I'll never rent to nobody in y'all. I'll never rent out. No, I'll never do that. Man, I ain't getting no rent for 2 years. So we did this too. We gotta understand that. We did this too, man. We chased a lot of our landlords away, man. A lot of private landlords started selling their houses. They started selling their houses. So now where do you go to find housing? Because people ask me this. Where do you go? How do I find housing now? He said that unemployment was it was popping for some. That unemployment, yes, it was. It was a time to be had. I remember, but nobody was paying rent. Nobody was paying rent. So we lost a lot of our landlords. So now that we don't have a lot of private landlords, how do you find housing now? So I'm gonna show you exactly what you have to do now. This is how you have to find housing now. You have to come on here and search property management companies in Jackson, Michigan. Bang. Once you search that, then you can start coming in. The biggest one is All Pro. We all know All Pro. They're going to be the hardest one to get approved. And if you ain't got A1 credit, you might as well keep it popping. Does Jackson have a land bank? I'm not sure if Jackson has a land bank. I'm not sure if Jackson has a land bank. But All Pro got the biggest selection of housing around. This is one of my biggest supporters for our veterans, honestly. They house the most veterans out of any program, out of any people around, but they just real strict with what they do. You know what I'm saying? Everything is gonna be 3 times their rent. You gotta have that money. You gotta show that you can afford that. So for this place right here, it say 1,400. You gotta show that you make 4,200 a month. 4,200 a month. And then they want that security deposit, 1,400. 1,400. And you might be able to get approved. You can apply online. And this is how the majority of property companies, this is how they gonna work. You know what I'm saying? All Pro is the biggest, so they have the most houses available. Shout out to my ladies down there that help us out. They house a lot of veterans for us. A lot of veterans for us. I'm gonna show a couple of them that y'all might not know about. NCDG, this is one of them. I actually rented from them a couple years ago. Actually, I can't remember where they from, but they got a little office on Pearl Street. They got a little office in Pearl Street. You could check out what they have online. So most of your searching is going to be all online. Okay. Most landlords, they don't put out the rental signs anymore for the most part. If they do put out the rental signs, it's 9 times out of 10 you could pretty much tell that that's going to be a hood landlord. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to keep it real. If they got a for rent sign in the front, 9 times out of 10 it's one of the hood landlords. And you know what you're going to get when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? Look, 1 bedroom. Look at that. That's what I'm telling y'all. If this ain't no wake up call as to why we need to buy, right? It's a 1 bedroom, 1 bedroom, 950 a month, 1 bedroom. Beautiful, beautiful. But a lot of the market is gonna be overpriced. We ain't gonna be able to afford a lot of it. So it's gonna be all about finding the right fit, searching until you can find something. Um, man, it's just you gotta see. Guardhouse is another one. You got Viking. Viking is another one. There's another one, another new one I can't remember. That's pretty good. I've been seeing a lot of their houses. They're really nice. But some of these property management companies, you can get a pretty decent deal with them. Like here's this 1 bedroom, 1 bath on Pleasant Street for 775. That's not bad right now. You know what I mean? But look at that, 3 bedroom, man. That's crazy. 2,200 for a 3 bedroom. That's crazy, man. That's like Albion prices. I mean, Ann Arbor prices. 2,200. That's crazy. Viking Street, 875 coming open in February. That's open and should be. They got one on Pleasant, 775. See, so when you're doing your search, you got to come to these property management websites, man. Like this is Guardhouse. This is what they got. You just got to come through here and see what they got, man. They got commercial space for looking for some maybe a storage space. They got commercial space for you. The Guardhouse, 750 a month. That ain't bad. But that's the best bet, man. Is just to come to these property management companies, search them on the Google. And I know it sucks. I don't like to pay application fees. You know what I'm saying? Especially if I don't see the property first. So one thing that I do is like when I see a listing like this, it tells you no applications will be accepted until after showing. That's because they want to see who it is that it is applying. You know what I'm saying? They want to see who it is that's applying. Yeah, they tripping, Martell, bro. They tripping. But we looking at gentrification. We looking at gentrification. This is what it is, man. This is just what it is, man. And you gotta be ready for it. And I'm telling people, you know, we're gonna survive one way or the other. I mean, we are resilient people, so we gonna figure out a way. You know what I'm saying? We've been figuring out a way all of these years. So now we just gotta keep continue to evolve, keep continue to figure out a way. It's always gonna be a way for us to work past, maneuver the system, use a system against them. Just gotta do what we can, man. And for a lot of us, I'm telling you right now, for a lot of us, we gonna have to start living together, man. Cohab. We gonna have to cohabitate, man. Couple of us, you know what I mean? Pitching in together, one crib. That's what it's gotta be. Cause right now, as you can see, it ain't really much available right now. You know what I'm saying? It ain't much available. And some of these companies, we already know what they about. Like we rented through these people before. You see what I'm saying? We know what kind of service we're gonna get with them. But when this is all that's available, this is all that's available. It's a 3 bedroom for 1,000. You can't beat that right now. So this is affordable. Now this is affordable. There's no pets allowed. Apply online. Look, the price dropped. They wanted 1,100, but they couldn't get nobody in there at that 1,100. They looking for 1,500 for the deposit, man. So qualified renters can skip paying a security deposit. So this is new. They just started doing this, guys. You need to pay attention to this because a lot of landlords are using this service now. This obligo, whatever you call it. Let me show y'all something about that. So I had search obligo because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was at all. So this is the new way to accept security deposits that a lot of landlords are going to. So you're gonna see this when you're applying for apartments and stuff now.
When you moved into your current apartment, you probably had to give a security deposit. When you get it back, try not to get too attached because you'll have to give it away again when you move to your next apartment. Billions of dollars are used for deposits, and they may as well be buried underground. It's likely no one will ever use them. Why do landlords need deposits anyway? Ah yes, in case you cause damages. But here's a silly thought. What if you could keep your deposit and only pay for damages if you actually cause damages? That would make a lot of sense. But without your deposit, how can your landlord trust you? It's actually simpler than you think. Just give your landlord an obligo. What's an obligo? An obligo is a secure and limited billing authorization that allows your landlord to bill you for damages. There's 3 important things you need to know about an obligo. It's safe. Your landlord can only withdraw up to a certain amount of money, and unreasonable claims may be disputed, just like a normal deposit. It's binding, so you won't be able to cancel the obligo before its expiration date unless your landlord agrees. Lastly, it's guaranteed. Obligo always pays your landlord in full as soon as a claim is made. If you're short on cash, Obligo can bill you in monthly installments. Got it? All right. Your Obligo is set up, and you can have your deposit back at a click of a button. Just one more thing left to think about. What are you going to do when you get your deposit back?
So as you can see, that obligo is a way for landlords to collect your security deposit. And really, I'm gonna tell you really what it is. Really, it's a way for them to get their money damages if you mess up if you mess up their house. So a lot of landlords are switching to this model, and quite frankly, we don't have no choice but to agree with it because I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna say 40% of Jackson landlords are using this right now. 40%. Not all of them, but a lot of them are starting to switch to this because it makes it easy for them. They don't have to do anything. So with this company, JRP, with JRP, you can apply online, and if you have an Obligo account, you don't even have to worry about paying a security deposit, right? So this is going to be crucial for you first-time renters, my guys that are just now getting out there in life. You've never had an apartment before. You got a good job. Go on and get you an Obligo account because if you get this account and you get qualified, you might not even have to pay the security deposit. You see, this is only for Obligo people. I don't know if I'm saying that right, Obligo, whatever that is, but it's worth it if you can get approved for it, right? So you might as well take that. But I'm gonna tell you right now, all of the apartments have this little thing right here, stipulations. Everyone is gonna be different. This one says the minimum requirements include but are not limited to the following. To qualify for this monthly household income must be at least 3 times the amount rent, must have renter's insurance, security deposit, and first month's rent available at the time of signing. No evictions within the last 3 years. Must consent to credit and background check and be able to verify income and no smoking. See, they got a lot of stipulations on that, boy. A lot of stipulations on that. Cheap rent. So you already know how I feel about that. Who gonna be able to get qualified for that cheap rent? You know, especially with all those stipulations. I mean, but it is what it is. When you got to make it happen, you got to make it happen. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. You got to show that you make at least 3,000, like 3,100 a month, 3,200 a month. For that, it's a nice place though. Look like they did do it over, so it would be worth that. That's a good price, especially for right now. Especially when I showed y'all the FMR for Jackson. I showed y'all what that was. So that's a fair price when you look at that. Let me show it to y'all again, so y'all, just for the people that maybe just tapping in. Let me show it to y'all again. Fair market for Jackson. That was what was that? A 3-bedroom, 1 bath. 3-bedroom, 1 bath. Fair market rent for a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, man, it's $1,400. So like I said, that listing that we just saw, that's actually really affordable. That's really affordable because these numbers represent, this is the maximum that HUD will pay on a voucher. Like HUD, when they calculate is the house affordable, HUD determines this is the max we are willing to pay on a voucher for a house in this area. So Jackson, Michigan for 49203. Right now, the max that they will pay is 1469. But that doesn't mean that this is the max that a landlord can charge you. That don't mean that that's the max the landlord can charge you. Because as you see, when you look at some of the new apartments, that's in the area, you'll see they're well above that. They're well above that. So let's check some of them out. We got the 200. Yeah, the 200. That's exclusive, right? Let's check that one out. Hold on, guys. Let's see. Nice, pretty website. I guess I'm gonna accept their cookies. Let's see. Big, beautiful apartments. Where's the floor plans at? Okay, let's just look at the studio. Wow. As you can see, this is a studio apartment. This is not even a 1 bedroom. This is a studio apartment in the 200s. They start off at 1,055. So if you was looking at like a 2-bedroom, they don't even have they got 2-bedroom, 2 bath. They at 1,700. So if you was to, I know they don't take vouchers, but I'm just saying, just for the sake of conversation, say you had a voucher and you have for a 2-bedroom and you want them to apply the voucher here, HUD would say this is not affordable. This is not affordable because it's higher than what they say a 2-bedroom in that area is worth. See, HUD says a 2-bedroom in this area is only worth up to $1,108. So that's the max that voucher will even pay for. So when you're looking for a place in your search, you need to take that into consideration when you're looking, and you need to make sure that you're looking at a place that's actually going to be affordable to you. So back to our listing here. This was a 3-bedroom. at $1,045 a month for a 3 bedroom. This is affordable to HUD because, like I told y'all, HUD will pay up to $1,469 for a 3 bedroom. So this unit right here, sorry about that. This unit right here is very affordable. This is at JRP. So this is the new way. Like, this is really the only way to find housing now. And I know it sucks. It's hard. But if you don't do it this way, the other way you can do is like you can get on here and type in like uh, homes for rent. But you're gonna deal with more scammers when you do it this way. When you go on like apartments.com, things like that, um, you're not gonna get a real good search result like this. You're gonna get a lot of the scams, so that's gonna be harder. But you can just go to the real apartment search, like go to the real apartment websites. So if you're looking for an apartment, you can go apartments.com or whatever the case may be. That'll take you to like Zillow and these things like this, but you're gonna deal with all of the scammers here. You're gonna deal with all of the scammers here. So I'm gonna teach y'all how to identify some scammers real quick since we're here. So one thing I always tell people, too good to be true is definitely a scam. If it's too good to be true, it's a scam. You see what I'm saying? This is a factual one. I know these people. I've been in this unit a bunch of times. Not the greatest, as you can see. Rent's cheap. Rent's real cheap. We see a 2 bedroom is right now 1,100 is the fair market for a 2 bedroom. So you already know if you're getting a 2 bedroom at this price, you already know what it's gonna be. So don't be surprised when you go see that boy and be like, ah, you know already this is what it's gonna be. And as you can see, that's it. They don't have much. Only 4 results popped up. So this is the worst way to search for a place. Like I said, your best bet is going to be look up property management companies in Jackson. Start there. Start with your list. Like I said, you're gonna get All Pros the biggest. But I know a lot of people aren't going to be able to get approved for All Pro. But I do have some tips to get approved. I know these ladies. I work with them a lot, so I've kind of got to see like what it is that they look for, how it is that they approve people. You know, basically it is what it is. You know, they really look at the incomes more than anything. So like this crib on Mason Street, if you got your credit right, and what I mean by credit right, what they're going to be looking at, the biggest thing that they're going to be looking at is the evictions. They don't want no evictions. So if you got evictions recently, don't waste your time applying. The application fee is $50. Don't waste your $50 if you know you got evictions left. And then they tell you no pit bulls, dogs 20. I guess they're saying no dogs 25 pounds or over. I don't know. You'd have to ask. But this is a decent spot, decent place. Looks like they just redid it all. The price is decent. $800, $800 security deposit. You got to show that you make 3 times the amount of rent. And you can apply right online. When you hit the apply button, it takes you to the online portal right here. And they tell you already at the top, before you begin, application fees are only refundable if the property is no longer available. That's the only time that it's refundable. So don't waste your time paying for fees if you know that you're not going to get approved, right? I would, as someone who has been formerly incarcerated, I call these people before I even apply. I'm finna call these people and say, hey, I am formerly incarcerated. I've been out of prison for 10 years. My charges were nonviolent. I've never hurt anybody a day before in my life. Um, can I get approved? This is how much I make. You see what I'm saying? That's how you got to do it. Yeah, that is too much. That is too much, man. I ain't see all of these comments, man. He says 1,600, 3-bedroom where I'm at. Yeah. So $1,000 for a 3-bedroom. That's very affordable. Very affordable because right now I'm only in a 2-bedroom. I'm in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and I pay over 1,100, almost 1,200 a month now. 1,200 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. So I already know, and it's just getting worse. You see what I'm saying? So really, when you all pro, like I said, they want 3 to 4 times the amount of rent. Okay, so this is their rule. If it's a single family house, meaning if the house is just one unit and there's not a like an apartment or a duplex or anything, then you have to make 4 times the amount of rent. 4 times the amount of rent. I know that's crazy. See, we get into a crazy, crazy, crazy number. But this is how the gentrification starts. Because if you can't show that you have this income, you are going to be denied. So this is why I'm telling people it is going to be crucial, right, for us to make sure that we got all our ducks in a row before you even apply. So for this unit, right, this is not a single family unit. So this is a duplex. So you would only have to show that you make 3 times the amount of rent for this unit. So what that means is you would have to show you make $2,400 a month, which is very reasonable. We could do that maybe. It might take 2 incomes, maybe, right? Or you might have one good income and you can do it, right? Mom work at a factory or mom work at the hospital, you know, and it's mom and one baby or something like that. Y'all might be able to make this work. But if you're a single person, I don't know. All Pro doesn't have to have a reason to kick you out. You sign paperwork saying that they can give you a 30-day. Yep, that is very true. That is very true. You see what I'm saying? They can't put you out with just a 30-day notice. But that's because they don't own the properties. Most of them don't own the properties. So these are the things that you got to worry about dealing with when you renting from a property management company. But I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're renting, this is gonna be like the only way to do it. Because if you want a nice place, I'm gonna just say that. There's a couple of landlords that I know in Jackson, like some really good new landlords that I'm meeting, like Mr. Brett. Mr. Brett is nice. He has a couple places on the south side and a couple of on the east side, but their numbers aren't public. So I don't know how they advertise their houses. I don't. I know these guys usually will call me and tell me like, hey, I got a place available on such and such, and I'll go check it out, you know. But when I get there, there isn't a sign out there to say like this place is available or anything like that. It's usually just, you know, now look at this. So single family. So a unit like this, you would have to show that you make 4 times the amount of rent. So you do the math. 1,200 times 4, you got to show that you make 4,800 a month. 4,800 a month, you got to show that you make for a 2-bedroom. This Michigan Senate, man, that's crazy. 4,800 a month. This is how they keeping us out of them neighborhoods too. But that's another conversation for another day. We're gonna get up out of there because a lot of that is just not affordable. It's not gonna be affordable. So you're gonna have to come through here, like I said, you're gonna have to go through these property management companies because this is about this is what we got, man. This is gonna be your best way to find housing quick. Because if you go on like Facebook and things like that, you're gonna see like most of that is scams. Most of them online are scams. They got a couple spring 2024 3 bedroom, 1,400 a month. How that measure up? Yep, 3 bedroom, 1,400 a month. That's what I've been saying. 1,400 a month for the 3 bedrooms. Summit Township. Landlord pays water, sewer, trash. No pets or smoking. Subject to acceptable credit score. Wow. Subject to acceptable application and credit score. What's the credit score? What's the credit score? That's how they keeping it. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a tight fight, man, for folks, man. Y'all need to make sure you rewind this. Good looking, brother. I appreciate you, man. Definitely appreciate the support, man. And if you're just tapping in, make sure you rewind it, man. When we stop and listen to the message from Miss Sierra Jones about how to prepare yourself to be a home buyer. Because if we not focusing on buying a home, man, we gonna be stuck, man. It's looking crazy out here. It's looking crazy out here. So if we ain't preparing, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. They can't wait to kick you out. That's a fact. They can't wait to kick you out. And think about it. Right now, if you have the money to buy a home and rent it out right now, that's probably one of the best hustles right now. Cause I mean the market is crazy. The market is crazy, man. I met a brother the other day. He got a 7 bedroom house, man. Big 7 bedroom house. We getting ready to turn that sucker into a transitional housing. Rent out rooms, man. And housing choices will pay for the vouchers. They will pay up to the efficiency price. That's 781 a person to rent a room. You see what I'm saying? So if you're a landlord, you got some houses right now. This is probably like the best time to 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 be alive. Because not only can you be picky on who you choose to be in your house, you could take your time to rent the house. I mean, like these landlords are getting $50 per application fee. Just think about that. $50 per adult. You got 2 people in the house, that's $100 an application. That's $100 an application, man. You do 7 of those a week, man. 7 applications a week, man. That's $2,800 a month. Well, I don't even need to rent out the house. Just give me seven. Let me get me 7 people to apply for this listing at $100 a pop. That's $2,800 a month. I don't even need to rent the house, so I can take my time and really make sure that I rent this house to the person I really want to rent it to. So that's what they doing. Like we know this is what they doing. We see them, and it's easy money right now. So why not? So to fix that, we just have to make sure that we do better on our searches, man. We be proactive, man, and start looking out for them. He said that's how they've been doing everybody. They will fake an inspection to come in there so they can smell any type of smoke. Yep. And they get you up out of there fast. And you know why they get you up out of there fast? Because it's a repetitive cycle. They know somebody else is going to come up that needs housing. And the reason why these companies can basically essentially discriminate on you easy is because they know it's always going to be somebody coming up that's graduating, turning 18, and they're going to need a house and they got fresh credit so they can get approved. They know this every year somebody else grows old enough to ruin their credit. We can get them in there. They can be approved. They know this, and they know like this is guaranteed. It becomes guaranteed money over and over and over and over again. So this is why we got to be doing our due diligence and prepare for home ownership, man. I'm gonna bring Miss Sierra Jones back again in a couple months, maybe. I'm gonna prepare better so that we can actually get more action steps on what we need to do to be prepared to buy a home. Cause see, I ain't never bought a home before. I don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? When my dad bought his home, I was too young. I don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? And my dad ain't around here to ask no more questions. So we need people like that to show us what we gotta do. Cause then it says my daughter gonna be her own landlord when she turns 18. It all depends if she moves or, yeah, I mean, sure, regardless of what. Well, especially, yes, she'll have steady, reliable income. Yes. I spoke to Miss Diane Washington, man. I want her to tell her story so bad, man. She was 19 years old when she bought her first apartment complex. 19 years old, man. 19 years old with an apartment complex. You know what I'm saying? Those are the stories that I need people to tell because that's how we're gonna get to the next level is through home ownership, man. The number one creator of generational wealth is owning a home because when you own your home, you pass it down to generations, to generations, to generations, to generations, and even if you don't pass it down, if I buy a house and I die and I will that house to my son and it's paid for, when I die, my son can sell that house. He can sell that house and he can benefit off of the thousands of dollars that he profits from that house, which would start generational wealth that he can pass down to his son because he could buy a house now and they can do the same and it could be a cycle that repeats itself over and over and over and over and over again. But how they get us stuck in the system and stuck in subsidized housing is because they get us stuck paying this high rent, man, every single month. High rent, high rent, high rent, high rent. And we have nothing to pass down when we die but debt, an accumulation of debt. That's all we have to pass down. You can't pass down a subsidized apartment, right? So the goal is to prepare for financial literacy is preparing for financial freedom, man. We got to prepare to be owners, man. We got to be owners of everything. You have to own your house. You have to own your car. We have to stop going to Rent-A-Center. We got to stop using Rent-A-Center. Stop using payday loans. We got to stop using these things because those things are going to keep us broke. They're going to keep us in debt. We have to own everything. You have to buy your washer and dryer with cash. I know it's harder to save the money. Trust me. I know it's harder. I'm taking my monkey butt down to the laundromat too, just like everybody else. You know why? Because if I go to Rent-A-Center, I know I'm gonna pay $2,000 for a washing machine that I should have only paid $800 for. This is how they get us. This is how they get us. I need a new car right now, but I'm not going the right way because I know they're gonna hit me with the 30% interest. I ain't got time to be paying $700 a month for a car. All right. If I gotta walk, if I gotta catch the bus, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. All right. This is what real priorities is. So it's gonna be a tight fight, man. And I tell people that. And I don't say that as to scare people or you know, or some people think that I'm saying it in like a defeated way. Oh, you need to trust God. Oh, you ain't had no faith. Man, stop it. Stop it. I tell people all the time. Slaves had all the faith in the world too. And they still got sexually assaulted. They still got sold. They still got beaten. They still ain't had no rights. And they still died, for sure. So all of that, no. Faith without actions means nothing. See, your actions is the works. That's the works that you do. What we do is our actions, and we can do a lot. We can control a lot, right? And what we can control is, like Miss Jones said, making those sacrifices, fixing our credit. She said to repair your credit is a lot harder than to build your credit. So if we know that we 40 years old like me and we got to repair our credit, then we need to be working with a credit specialist to repair our credit, start paying off some of our debts, because the only thing that's going to actually get us there is actually paying off some of the stuff that we owe, right? Signing up for the home buyers classes, the credit repair classes. Those are things that I can control. And then I can get my credit score good enough to where I can apply and I can be approved for the first time buyers program. Those are things that I can control. Those are things that I can manipulate. Those are things that I can do. I can control that spot. I can't control whether or not all pro rent to me or not. I can't control whether or not if they do rent to me, how many times they come in and doing inspections. I can't control that. But I can control fixing my credit and signing up for first time buyers program. I'm getting ready to get out of here, man. But lastly, man, I don't want to leave without mentioning that there are a lot of programs right now that are helping people to develop pathways to home ownership. You got the city and their 100 homes program. As much as I argue with them about the program, it is one program that they have available to help people get the first time buyers program. Also, there is the regular first generation home buyers program that just announced. They're giving 25,000 in down payment assistance for first generation home buyers. I don't know how that process is going to work. How do they even know that your parents have bought a house before? I don't know. That's going to be a hard thing. I want to see how they're going to do that. So we're going to be following that to see how that process even goes. But the point is, there are people out there, organizations out there that are willing to help and that are actively out here trying to push people into home ownership. I have a lot of realtor friends. I often tag them in these conversations because we're trying to get them to come into these conversations, because they should be helping people um, figure out and how to navigate some of these challenges into owning a home. I tell a lot of my realtor friends, because a lot of us, we get comfortable and we're in our own bubble and we just assume everything. We assume that everybody knows the same thing that we know, right? We assume that everybody knows how to tie their shoes. We assume everybody ties their shoes the same way we do, right? We just automatically think like, oh, it's tying your shoes. You learned this in kindergarten. Like, everybody's learned this. I know how to tie my shoes, so you got to know how. But that's not always the case. And a lot of people have never bought a house, or they've never experienced what the process looks like buying a house, and they don't even know where to start. So I tell my realtor friends, man, you got to do more in educating the people on the process, man. Hold our hands, man. We need our hands held sometimes. Take me to the credit repair specialist. Show me what exactly I need to be focused on, man, because I'm all over the place. That's what the people need, man. So if you are someone that works in that space and you want to connect, man, connect with me. Let's work on something for the people to help explain these things, because a lot of it is new to us. We are first time buyers. A lot of us are first time buyers or will be first time buyers. So we are going to need that education. So make sure y'all stay tuned, man. If y'all have any questions that y'all want me to submit to Miss Sierra Jones, the financial specialist with Community Action Agency, send those questions to my email or send them to me on this live video or an email or messenger, however you got to do it. Thanks for joining us, guys. I'm going to holler at y'all next time. It's been another great edition of the Community Soldier Broadcast Podcast.
Grandpa told me you lucky to have one friend. Situations in life coming, you gotta trust them. Found out many times in life you can't trust men. So I rolled solo, that process was an adjustment. Friends let you down, not around when you're needing them. Only here to take like a child, got you feeding them. Better off leaving them like salt, that's the seasoning. Killing black people, that sugar really depleting them. Knowledge over ignorance, rising above predicaments. Fighting for equality, speaking for all the innocents. This episode of the Community Soldier Podcast is brought to you by Partial to Girls. Partial to Girls is a dynamic group of diverse women here in Jackson, Michigan, who are stepping up to create meaningful change in our community. Partial to Girls is all about action. These women come from unique backgrounds but share a united mission to make sure that no woman or child is left behind. Whether they're supporting each other's endeavors, hosting impactful community programs, or helping those who need it most, they're making Jackson a better place for everyone. And even you can be a part of their mission. Join the movement by volunteering your time, making donations, or simply spreading the word. You can find them and support them in their endeavors by reaching out and following their Facebook page at Partial to Girls. And just remember, as we salute these community soldiers, that together we can create real change. Let's support the women who are making a difference. Partial to Girls, diversity in action, unity in purpose. Thanks to Partial to Girls for sponsoring this episode of the Community Soldier Podcast. Now, let's get back to the show.